No, I think it's critical to understand yourself. Like you said, the disc profile is one of many, ways you can start to do
Correct.
that. But at some point, your drive and your purpose has to come from something
Beyond
much
self.
bigger than yourself.
Well,
Exactly.
absolutely.
So how did the business? Okay, so you've got the health situation, I guess, stabilized or at least
We're
improving.
figuring it out. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. But you've still got, at this point, what year is this when things started to kind of take off for your
So
business?
that ran around 2012, 2013, when I sort
Okay,
of took that initial mobile stuff I was doing in the years past, and I was working with some e-commerce companies, which was part of the transition. And so I'm now doing buying for e-com, and all of a sudden it strikes me one day I should be building my own brand. Like they're
hmm,
not doing anything at the last mile here that I couldn't do. So why am I not taking it from lead and acquisition through to the end? And in
sure.
that process of due diligence, because at that point, it was set up employees, set up a warehouse, set up a product, set up a lot of other logistics that make that more complicated than I even knew how to do yet, and was figuring that out. And someone said, "Hey, you should see what Amazon just did." And I'm like, "What did they just do?" And I was like, "Well, just a few years ago, they bought a company, and they have called it now Amazon FBA, Fulfilled by Amazon." I'm like, "Well, what is that? If it's eBay, I want nothing to do with it, because that was all like
Right.
garage sale, shipping all this stuff yourself. I'm not cool with that." They're like, no, no, no.
Yep.
You send your product to Amazon, and they put it in their warehouse, and they deliver it to the customers in like 2 days. And all you need to focus on is like the business and the product and logistics and marketing. I'm like, well, dang, I can do that, right? Let's figure that out. So I started flipping products on Amazon first to see how that would work. Because to me, it was just another traffic source. At this point, it was people buying product. And they weren't just buying
Hmm.
books anymore. They were buying all kinds of stuff. That was what
Hmm.
opened up for Amazon. They went
Yeah.
from just books to all kinds of products all of a sudden. So this is cool.
Yeah.
So it's very, two-lane highway at this point, and not what we know it is today. And so I just
Sure.
got into flipping products on Amazon to start, and I started to realize, wow, this is fun. I can make good profit at it. I want more products. So all of a sudden it was like I could see this working bigger and bigger. And then discovered private label. I'd never
Okay.
private labeled a branded product before of my own, and that
So
was discovered in that process.
can you explain what that is for our listener?
Yeah, so there's again the wholesale FBA side. You may be familiar with that, which is basically taking someone else's products and flipping it through Amazon. There's drop
Sure.
shipping, which is getting a product that's pre-made already, and then just getting the difference in the purchase of that product and sending it to somebody. And then there's white label, which is a product that's already been manufactured, but it's ready for you to slap your logo on it and send it to somebody so it sort of looks like you. And then there's private label. And the biggest difference is customization. So a private label product
Okay.
can be customized. We can innovate that product, make it unique, make it our own IP, trademark it, and go even as far as patent pending later on if necessary. And that product becomes part of our IP, becomes part of our brand. Okay.
Hmm.
It is our Taco Bell to Taco Dial, whatever the other place is. I could use like Burger King to McDonald's. That's a better analogy. It's like
Right.
CVS to Walmart. You have a brand that competes with other brands, and we have a customized branded product that goes in the market. That created more of an organic, continued buyer habit, emotional connectivity to those products than the previous ones were just bought on the current need or that emotional status in that moment. They weren't really brand driven. But once I
Okay.
learned the difference in private label with brand driven affinity, all of a sudden the organic and upside potential of the business goes through the roof. Most of us are brand driven. We just don't
Sure.
necessarily want to admit it, but I can make people fight on this call right now asking you who loves Android and who loves iPhone.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
all of a sudden you're going to be arguing with each other.
Absolutely.
Because like it or not, we're
So
brand driven.
absolutely. So now, I guess how important is Amazon to your business right now? I mean,
Yeah.
in other words, if Amazon goes out of business tomorrow, highly unlikely, but
Mhm.
or if they change their rules, which I know they do sometimes, how does that affect your business?
Not as dramatically now as it used to in the past. Amazon's created more brand affinity and brand connectivity and brand driven aspects of their business now to support other brand owners and are moving very fast away from anything arbitrage, drop shipping, wholesale, etc. So if you're in line with them of a business, if you're a brand registered company and you move to a certain level of business, they assign us brand reps, they assign us account reps. So the risk of Amazon is considerably lower in the way that we do the business model. Okay. The other business models are extremely risky and usually outside of their terms of service. So Amazon is a big component of the first stage of business when we launch a first product. We take it to market on Amazon. It's 38% of the market share, $630 million in sales. It is buyer purchase intent. It's one of the number one things all e-commerce sellers are trying to get, even if they're over on a storefront like Shopify trying to run Facebook ads on it. They're trying to get somebody to buy their product. Well, Amazon has that buyer traffic already. So I go there first and I prove the product and concept in that market first. When I do it, I'm looking for mass market appeal. Amazon is like the new as seen on TV because if it's on Amazon and it's being seen, there's typically a woman 27 plus who's clicking add to cart 2 to 3 times a week to the tune of about $1,000 a year in purchasing power on Prime members. I want to take advantage of that because I want it to $1,000 a year and each person to come to me and my brands instead of somebody else's. So Amazon creates that opportunity, but we have multiple channels. We have businesses that are on Shopify and running, the regular commerce, if you will, traditional website commerce, but they always cross over to Amazon. Okay. And Amazon should cross over to the other website. It's multiple channels, very important for risk and management, as well as the connectivity of the emotional people who get on and may look at it and say, well, I saw your Facebook ad, et cetera, over here, but then I'm going to go on Amazon real quick and make sure that I find you or to see if you're legitimate. I see Amazon now as like the old days of brochure websites to determine whether or not the business is legit. If you're selling a physical product and I can't find you on Amazon, I'm most likely going to buy it from somebody on Amazon because I trust it and I know the return policy. But if I bought it from your website, I don't know a whole lot about you. And I'm taking a little bit more risk. So both of those channels and multiple channels should be involved in the business if you're really going to build it as a business.
Got it. So my daughter has been following these Air Jordans when they drop, and then she I came to her and I said, all right, she wanted a pair herself, and I said, all right, I'm going to fund your next purchase if you can sell this pair of sneakers for a profit. And so she did. She bought. I mean, these things, like they it's done and they're sold out in 20 minutes. Wow. Okay. So we both were actually. Yeah. So she bought this pair of Air Jordans, put it on sneakers.com and made, I don't know, $30 or something.
That's big money for a little girl.
Yeah, exactly. Within, a day. So it was pretty good. So trying to take it to the next level. So you and I might have to talk offline. You can.
Oh man, absolutely. See, I'm actually starting an intro to entrepreneurship course tomorrow. For a local co-op homeschool group where I'll be teaching them the beginners basics of entrepreneurship and business and fundamentals. E-commerce will be one of those legs. And there's about 8 people signed up for that right now.
Yeah.
And 14-year-old up. And so we're going to teach them the basics of business. And arbitrage is going to be one of the things they can learn about. My 14-year-old has done that as well. Taking products and flipped them for money and is like, hey, wow, I want to do this some more. Right? Teaching them the fundamentals of business.
Well, that's exactly it. Because I gave her the option. I said, well, if you want to, then buy your own pair of sneakers, that's fine to keep. But she hasn't done that yet because I think she has the itch now. She really
looking for that next pair of Jordans to go grab, huh?
Exactly. It's repeatable. Cool. So
yeah, it is.
So that's awesome. So what is your kind of, I guess, walk us through maybe just a day in the life of Neil Twa. What does it look like for you today? How much time do you spend on your own e-commerce business versus your coaching, or what does it look like today for you?
So we do have multiple e-commerce companies, both on Amazon and off, as I mentioned, but I have an operations team now. So I really don't spend any time in those details anymore. I'm in, on the business, but not in the details. So I keep up with what's happening in those divisions and make sure everything is going great, but I'm not in the operator status anymore. So that only takes me maybe 1 to 3 hours a week now because it's completely operational. So at that point, I'm out, evangelizing, talking, going to network events like I did in Alabama recently, doing podcasts like this, and overarchingly seeing the movement of Voltage Holdings forward. That includes the other divisions we do, as well as the solar trailer side. And we're looking at even building up a new mini fund this year with the guys at Wealth Without Wall Street. That will potentially be a buyer acquisition firm that is going to go out and purchase companies for passive income for those who get involved in it. So we're looking at that division. So we're working on that as well. So the day in the life of Neil right now is business, discussion, deals, forward thinking, being the CEO, making sure I can try to avoid icebergs out there in the ocean, and just trying to help direct the entire company forward as a leader.
Which it sounds like plays right into your God-given strengths and skill set, right? I mean, you already said you're not the best operator. I mean, you already, it's not where your strength and interest lies.
Super smart operators around me.
Yeah. So how did you do that? I mean, how did you approach building that team?
Well, I initially trained some of them up, right? And I trained alongside of my partner. He is more of the traditional MBA, speaks 2 languages, corporate. He never been in corporate, but he was in the business side of the world and learned how to build companies through the operational component. So he's very much the opposite of me. And because of that, he doesn't understand all the marketing and communications and things that I do or have to do at the level I'm operating the company. So he's just like, you handle that, and I trust you to do all that, and I trust him 100% to do the rest. And together, to each of us create one person, one mind, if you will, in that. And so learning to give him that space or to teach him the things about what I know, and he's helped me structure certain things about the finance and operations that I didn't know, has been a very great learning and opportunity to grow together for the last 10 years, which has been extremely important. So I've trained myself and trained operators and been trained by them. So each of the people that run those different divisions were trained up by us together, and then they become operators in that. Typically, they're already moving companies themselves in terms of Amazon. So they're very smart about what we do in those areas of business or direct to consumer. We have a partnership in there as well, who's a very strong direct to consumer channel marketer, and we work with them as well. They're operators.
So how did you overcome the fear? I presume was there from, from the partnership that went south. How did you, why didn't you just say, I'm never having a partnership again, and I'm only working for and with myself?
Absolutely. It really gets down to how you structure it. So each of our individual operating entities is a disregarded entity under our enterprise. And because of that, we're indemnified by whatever implodes in that LLC should that partner not operate correctly and we cannot remove them and or place a new operator in, or the business itself is just not viable for whatever reason, or something goes wrong with it. We have the opportunity to just simply detach that LLC from the main enterprise and not jeopardize the overall operation.
Got it. Okay.
And if it does well, then we give them other chances to operate other entities.